That's a Miss Molly. Hi, Miss Molly. It's a good baby. It's a good baby. You're a good baby. You're a good baby. That's Miss Molly. She was snuggling on me, but she sheds, and I wear black clothes, so. Today's Sunday sermon is brought to you by Sonic Spoons. These are pretty rad spoons. Not as strong as Dairy Queens. Dairy Queens are the best. That's Berkshire Hathaway. So, Sherry and I were talking about, let me give you a couple of updates. So, the idea that I have for Starling Studios, that is a go. Mark Silverstein, that I know through comedy, he's been working on that for the last couple of days. I went over there yesterday, and Josh Graves had the best line. They went because I haven't seen those guys in probably a year or so, and I've lost like 50 pounds since I saw him last. And then Josh comes out and he's like, "Patrick, do you have AIDS?" I was like, yes, I have AIDS. So he's like, "You've lost a lot of weight." I'm like, thank you, Josh. So, but that's one of the things with socializing with comedians is that they're always busting balls, and it's good. It's good. You got to be able to take a joke, and it's funny. So I encourage that. And when I was in the comedy community, I had a hard time with these, and I realize now that I made the mistake of treating other comedians as equals. I recommend treating other people as equals, right? That's what I would like, as people to treat me like equals. But I didn't realize that they were just sad, angry children, and so that was my mistake. But you live and you learn. So, but Sherry and I were talking about a couple things. Let me finish updating on the video. So I think it's only like 30 seconds. Like, it's super short and it's super intense and it's wonderful, and I think you're all gonna like it. I'm gonna post it here on YouTube, and I'm gonna put some stuff down in the description. But for the most part, I want you guys just to share the video and make believe as if it's Tesla's next big thing. So, which for me, it would be great if that was true. So. But of course, the whole thing is just a fantasy. It's a well-produced fantasy, which is great. Everybody loves that, right? Everybody loves porn, right? Even if your porn is like, whatever. Oh, like, what's her name? The white lady that identifies as black. She does squats and pictures of her feet on her OnlyFans page. What did you used to do? I used to work in like governments and NPOs, and now I take pictures of my feet. It's like, that's good. So, Sherry and I were talking about how do I say this? It's kind of like a heightened sensitivity that a lot of people have now. I shared a video on it was about Quentin Tarantino. And he was on with Bill Maher. And it was really great about the way that Bill Maher was complimenting Quentin about, like, people have come and tried to shame you and tried to bully you and tried to, get you to do things that you don't want to do. And really Quentin has, and that's the funny thing is Quentin has really just lived his life the way that it's portrayed in a lot of the movies that he grew up with, and especially in the 60s and 70s, and I guess I should say just films that he just really enjoyed and that he sort of found joy in, or whatever, just found inspiration in. And I feel very similar. There's a lot of movies that I watched growing up that were I think George Lucas said one time, he says it's okay to be preachy. I think mostly he was talking about some of the lessons he learned, or lessons that he was portraying in, like, say, Return of the Jedi, or even just the whole Star Wars franchise, that, being good has its punishments, and standing up to the Empire has consequences, but it doesn't mean it's not the right thing to do. And which is pretty preachy for a movie, especially for Hollywood to be talking about. And yeah, again, just look on my my shared post that I put on. I don't know where it's at on where you click on it, but it's a really great interview with. It's not even a full interview. It's just a little short snippet of Quentin basically telling people to fuck off, because you're not there to tell me what to do and what to believe. And I'm like, yeah, preach on, brother. So many times people browbeat me or criticize me for really just like I think yesterday. It's not that I want to give food or fuel to the trolls. It's I would love if the criticism had value. I am very open to criticism. I in fact I tell my wife all the time, like, I listen to your criticism. Like I want to be a better person. I want to do better. I want to be more friendly, and I want to be, like a better guy. And the problem though is that many people have an agenda, or they have a bias, and they have a lot of self-pity, and so then they want you to join you in your self-loathing and your pity party. And I don't want to be part of that, because it's first of all, it's never fair, right? And that's like the argument between Palestine and Israel, right? Both of those parties want your sympathy, and so they try to outdo one another, and it becomes this really gross display of and it's violent and destructive, and it just is horrible. And neither one of them really need to do that. So, but also neither one of them is mature enough to stand up and say, you know what, we're going to do the right thing no matter what. So what's funny is when you look at the real display of what Israel has and does versus what Palestinians have done, and it becomes very obvious that Israel is a occupying force that has all the money in the world and completely abuses these people that are native to that land. And so, but anyways, I don't want to get into that, because it's people then use their whether there be their Bible or their personal feelings about what Israel represents, which is something completely different. And that was one of the things that Sherry and I talked about, which was that a lot of people nowadays seem to confuse ideas with themselves. Like, just because you have an idea doesn't mean that's you, right? So if you have an idea, which in the case of that guy yesterday, I don't even know his name, it was the idea that we were sharing, him and I, was the deal, right? So he had an idea, which was that he wanted a Alpine Type R, broken, 15, right? Not working. And I was like, oh, I can share in that idea because I have one, and let's negotiate something for that. So, but when, for me, the deal got too rich, right, which means his ask was too high, I simply rejected the deal. But that's not how he saw it. He saw it as rejecting him. And I understand where he's coming from, and I can again, I don't want to sympathize, but I want to say I understand where he's coming from. I just don't agree with his summation of the situation. So, and that's a hard thing for people, that's why I say don't take it personal. But people take things personal all the time. And so, and it gets into this weird situation where, when I was in the military, there was a lot of that where it was doublespeak. They would say one thing, but they really meant something else. And so if you were wise, or even if just being practical, you had to sort of, pick up on the vibe that they were putting out there. And so, like, one of the things that was probably most hypocritical was the don't ask, don't tell policy. So, they would say one thing, which was don't ask, don't tell. And then the other way was, it's like, well, why are you hating on gays in the first place? So that's really the bigger argument, which it took many, many years. Gosh, I've been out of the military for 20 years now. And it's taken that long in order to, people that have been oppressed to have a say at the table. And so even now, there's still so much homophobia. it's dumb and it's crazy. So and if you really want to break it down, people just want to be loved. Humans just want to love and be loved. That is really it for humans. And for some reason, we torture one another and we deny one another all kinds of things in order for power or control. And most of the time, it's just illusion of power. It's not even real power. So, but what else were we talking about? I think just people getting butt hurt. So I think that's the biggest one. Quentin Tarantino was talking about how people were putting ideology as a higher priority than art. And that's another thing that people have a hard time of, is separating the artist from the art. And that's what's wonderful about art, is that the artist can be like the biggest shithead you've ever met. But you got to understand that, in this case, it would be Quentin. He's a guy. He's a human being. He takes shits. He masturbates. He picks his nose. He's disgusting, right? And he's got that big cabbage head, right, that you just want to just pop. He's a human being. So, but it's separate from his art. His art is its own. It has its own life. It has its own, origins. And what's funny is it's just a fantasy. It's fake. It's just a story. But there's something there. There's something very magical about his art and about art in general. And so it's not until people really sort of let go of their personality and stop being children that the world revolves around them, that they discover art and they discover that there's beauty all around you. That this life is short and it's better to appreciate things than to take them for granted and be a selfish little piece of shit. So even though being a selfish little piece of shit feels great, it feels great at the beginning, but not at the end. So, and that's why, adults are adults and children are children. So, but I think I've gone on long enough about this stuff. I want to see if there's anything else I wanted to wrap up as far as the last couple of days that I've been posting videos. Not really. I've just been very, very busy, and I'm still thinking about discontinuing opening up on the weekends, just because, again, I'm just so short on time. I'm out there working, trying to get a bunch of orders done, and I remember when I was doing the OEM work for EMF Audio and Eagle Merino, and they didn't quite understand how busy I was. Because they only saw their order, right? It was a very large order, and they wanted results. And I'm like, well, first of all, you don't understand how you build subs. It's in little steps, and typically what happens is they all come to fruition all at the same time, all around the same time, and that's because I have to do a little step and then walk away from it. And then I do another little step, and then I walk away from it, and that's the process. That's just the way that they're made. So some of that I take responsibility for, that I haven't educated people enough to understand the process. The other one is, which I think is more of a factor, is that people are just impatient fucks, and they're self-serving, and they only see their stuff, and that was one of the reasons why I walked away from that relationship with EMF, or not EMF, was it EM Audio? That's what they are. So, which of course, never name your company about yourself. What EM Audio is, Eagle Merino Audio. So it's just kind of creepy. Like Eagle's haircut. Like, why are you wearing bangs, dude? Like, aren't you like an old middle-aged balding guy? Like, I don't know. Anyways. Who calls his 10-year-old sweetie, his 10-year-old son sweetie. Like, okay. Again, I'm not here to judge. It's just, I can see why my dad called me pussy all the time when I was younger. I was very tender. I was a very sensitive boy. And, it's especially in the late 70s, early 80s, that kind of person was not a good candidate for survival. and he wanted to toughen me up. So And I still don't feel I'm tough or macho like most men. So, and you saw that with Drew the other day in that video. That video is like 2 years old, by the way. So, and what's funny is some of these things that I put together, because I got to make a packet for the police. So it's got to have everything in there. It's got to have all the evidence, and it's all got to be documented and date stamped or whatever. And otherwise, they just throw it in the round file, right? And which is, by the way, is the trash. So somebody had to explain that to me. I was like, where's the round file? And they go, like, the trash can right there. That's the round file. So, but you have to put it, gift wrap it for the police in order for them to take it serious. The last report that I did, which was on Steve and Reggie, they were like, "Isn't this like a year old?" I go, "Yeah. What's the problem with that? Is there an age on this?" And they're like, "I'm like, I forget what it's called, the statute of limitations. For most crimes, it's like 7 years. 7 years. So, but again, it's like this is your job. This is what you're supposed to be doing, And it's this weird thing about police, prosecutor's office, and judges are supposed to be searching for truth and justice, and they're not. That's a weird thing for me to again, especially if you watch something like Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. Those are the things that you hope for in this country, and every country is truth and justice, and in a larger sense, righteousness, right? We all want to be right. We all want to do good. We all want to have happy, lovely lives. And so there's this jaded, shit-eating personality that shows up that says, that's all fake. Everything's fake until it's real. And I think that's the point behind what Quentin Tarantino's rebellion was when he came out with Pulp Fiction. He was coming from this weird homogenized, this is insane. Luke Skywalker came out, that was later in the 90s, or actually late, I think it was 89, when Broward County banned the sale of Nasty as They Want to Be from Two Live Crew. Like, they banned an album. They banned music. Like, you only see that now, like in the fucking Taliban, right? They don't want any paintings of people. They only want to watch cartoons because you're not supposed to see depictions of humans, all this kind of stuff. This was in America. This was in Broward County, Florida, and this was a real thing. And they, of course, they lost. And I still didn't appreciate what Luke did, which was he made a censored version and a dirty version, right? Which I don't even like to use the word dirty. It was like that's the real version, right? The stuff that you hear on the radio that, they get, these DJs and producers get, real creative with, like a scratch or like they'll play it in reverse or something like that, to go over a cuss word. Like, what the fuck? We're adults. Why are you censoring things for children? And immediately my thoughts go back to that scene in The Professional, also known as Leon, where what's her name? Princess Leia's mom is what's her name? Natalie Portman. Natalie Portman is asking the assassin guy. She's like, "Does this ever get any easier?" And he tells her the fucking truth. He says, "No, it doesn't." That's the truth, that it doesn't get easier, but what happens is you change. You get harder. You get smarter. You're the truth of the world comes from you. And whatever you're thinking, whatever you're manifesting, that's what becomes true. And so really, when you take responsibility for that process, that's when you realize that your thoughts are important and your words are even more important. Make the words flesh, that you make this real, you make this life real, your reality real. And so that's why it's always good to have discussion. That's why it's always good to have differing opinions, because most people cannot see all opinions all the time, right? That's God mode, right? That's a God feature, right? When you can see all perspectives, including the ones that you never even thought of, right? That's what God is, or what we think it is. So but you can see things through other people's perspective, and you can see things through from even a third perspective. Like you're watching yourself do something that is I don't want to say, I would say, let's use masturbation. So now you're watching yourself as a third person, watching yourself masturbate. That is absolutely disgusting and it's gross. But when you're actually jerking your gherkin, that feels good. That's a wonderful thing. And I've talked about this several times. I'd rather see you masturbate or know that you're masturbating than have that devil's breath build up in your prostate, and then it comes out in violence or just anger and road rage and things like that. So I think the biggest thing is stop having judgment on yourself, stop having judgment on other people, assume the best in people until they make it obvious that they are not to be trusted and that they are shitty people, and then hold them responsible, right? You don't say like all cops are bad or all white people are racist or anything like that. Hold people responsible for their actions, and even then assume the best about people, because that's what you would want, right? You want people to assume the best about you, right? Curtis was telling me the other day, he was walking down the street with his boys. Curtis is of Spanish Mexican descent, so that they're brown, and some fucking Gilbert cop lady pulls over and says, "Where are you boys going?" And he's like, "Excuse me?" Curtis says this. He's like who the fuck do you think you are? And she's like, "Well, are you with them?" And he's like, "Yeah, those are my kids. Like, we're going to return a video at the Circle K. Like, why is this any of your fucking business?" Right? And Curtis's wife is like, "Oh, don't talk to the police like that." And it's like, no, this police lady is being offensive, especially in a country like this where we value freedom. And you've seen what shitty police actions do all over the world, right? That's what the Nazis were all about. That's what the Taliban is all about. That does not happen here. And the way that it doesn't happen here is that you hold people accountable. And so that's why I recommend filming police at all times. Equipping your car, like quit spinning it on fucking car audio. Equip it on a good 2 or 3 terabyte drive and a bunch of cameras. Like that can save your life. That can help people. And that's one of the reasons why I release some of these videos. They're not complimentary to me at all, but you're missing the point about why I'm releasing this. This person, in this case, this most recent one was Drew. He needs to be held accountable for his actions. He and I agreed through text that he would not come over. And then what does he do? He comes over. And then he's forceful, and then he refuses to leave. All because of what? Because he changed his mind in a deal. And I told him, I said, I don't, I don't want to do business with you if you don't like what I'm doing for you and you don't believe in what I'm doing. And he got offended by that. So I pushed him away. He felt like I rejected him when really I just only want to deal with I want OnlyFans, right? I only want people to send me money for, so you can jerk off to my feet and do squats. Like, what's her face? So, but... I always go for the joke. For the most part, I do. Life is too important to be taken so serious. I'll end with this. I'm starting a Patreon page, and I say that, but I need to research who Patreon is. I think Patreon is actually a division of Amazon, which I'm not a fan of. But I basically want to get something like a Patreon page. I subscribe or I support Audit the Audit. I think the work that they're doing is phenomenal, and it's well worth what I'm giving them, which is $3 a month. And for me, $3 a month is nothing, and it's well worth supporting. It's the idea of supporting their work and what they do, which is to audit the police. So I want to put this out to people that one of the secrets of success is making yourself available. So I want to make myself available for people that want to make a donation to me or just want to support me. And I'll have like a $1 club and then a $3 club, just like they do. And I didn't even really think about the power of it. But, if you look at how many subscribers they have, and let's say only half of them subscribe to the Patreon page. Dude, so like right now, I just broke 3,500 subscribers. Thank you very much for doing that. I'm very glad that you support me, and I want to give you more of what you're looking for. So even if only half of those people supported me at $3 a month, the quick math, that's $4,500 a month. Fuck yeah. Please let me know. I am, that's like when you graduate prostitute school and you're like, oh, you get to go to the fancy hotel. Sign me the fuck up. Yeah, I'm all for that. Because I would love to do more videos like this, and I would love to have better production value and all that kind of stuff. So, I want to make myself available to that. So, and I also wanted to take you guys along on my journey with this Starlink thing and making movies and things like that. I think this is a wonderful thing to share, and I don't see it out there in the world. So, back to the wonderful Michael Jackson, who says, man in the mirror, if you want to make that change, start with the guy in the mirror. So that's what I'm doing. I encourage you to do it. I love you guys. Thank you. Have a great week. I will talk to you more and do some more technical videos.